What happened? There we go. It's amazing what happens when you don't add yourself to the stream. I was trying to figure out what was going on. So, yeah, there we go. There's your Wednesday morning. Wall Pass Wednesday. Hi. First and foremost, before we get into the show, obviously, I just want to make sure that if you have friends, if you've got family, if you've got those close to you and important to you down in Florida, just make sure that they are as safe as possible. And, obviously, I have full disclosure, and this is not quite opening kickoff, but half of the video elements or things that are capable of video here in the in Office HD are locked into what's going on on the Florida coast with Ian. So obviously, keeping an eye on that, and just make sure that if you've got friends and family, I got to press the button. OG, I know. Basically, just keep an eye on all your friends and family. Just make sure that they're safe, because apparently all of the power and light trucks known to mankind have been working their way down to the state of Florida, down I-75 South. Thank you, Alex Bassine, for that heads up about FP&L. But no, obviously, all of our thoughts are to everybody down there, and just be as incredibly safe as possible, because it's going to get worse, and it's going to get a lot worse, especially now that Cantori is on the air. Canman's in Punta Gorda, and he's talking about everything. And when you hear Cat 4 and Cat 5, it is just incredibly nasty stuff. Yeah, who isn't watching Cantori right now? That's the other question. I think a lot of us are. And I have local television up here, right there. So I've got you guys here. I've got number 2 focused on Twitch Pitch, so I can keep an eye on everything there. Local TV here, and Weather Channel off screen over there on the big screen. So just keep an eye on everything. So how was it, Wiley? Driving back from Marco Island yesterday. This is a Wall Pass Wednesday, so pretty much anything's on the table. And if you guys want to talk about Ian for a while, we can do that. Obviously, we're going to talk about the USMNT and have all your opinions for that. That's definitely going to be on the table after the draw with Saudi Arabia. But Wiley, how was it driving back from Marco yesterday? I imagine it was pretty packed. And you were not driving home at the most alacritous speed ever. Better than you feared, huh? But glad you left before they closed the island, no doubt. Just glad you got out, and glad that everyone close to you is safe. And so local TV here, Cantori over there, and you guys here. So it's a Wall Pass Wednesday. Yeah, skip Tampa. Definitely think that helped. Rather talk about Ian than the USMNT. I know. We got to have it on the table. So consider this your venting session today, since we did not do the immediate reaction on after the match was over yesterday afternoon, because I could definitely hear it without having any headset on about anything anywhere. Pretty much know what the reactions are, but now that you guys have had a chance to catch your breath and look at it for a day or so, well, for 12, 18 hours or so, lay it on me, because that's what we're all here about. Hopefully Dylan Butler gets to join us for his weekly visit at 10 o'clock, and we can talk to Dylan about it. There was one match in Major League Soccer yesterday where Cincinnati did not, despite an early lead, did not distance themselves from the pack. They only got the 1 point in Seattle. Seattle in the West, their chase is on life support, and we'll talk to Nico Moreno about that tomorrow. We'll have that tomorrow afternoon. And everything pretty much has been slid here in the Southeast an entire day. So we'll keep an eye on everything, all of your activities. Keep an eye on your favorite teams. High school has been slid a day, if not 2. So your games on Friday are now Thursday. Some are even today down in South Georgia, so everybody can be safe. And I would say USMNT will be lucky to get 1 point in the group. There, you said it. So we'll get into the quotes and we'll get into the goalless draw against Saudi Arabia coming up in just a little bit. But can we see the video on your laptop? Might want to move it slightly. Yeah, we can. Oh, on the lap. Yeah, that is if you want to see. I mean, if you, I can have WBBH right here if you want, Nick. That's fine. I mean, I can slide it forward. I don't think BBH will be mad that we're showing what you call it, that we're showing hurricane coverage, but we'll keep an eye on that as well. But now, if you want me to move BBH, I can move BBH forward. No worries. Oh, move it out of frame. So hang on. So I can move it out of frame. Hang on just a second. I can slide it forward about a foot. So nothing like redecorating down here. It's like love it or list it. And so let me do that. See if that helps. Let me see. Is that any better? Because that's getting up against the mouse pad to help me with everything else. So something like that. How about that? There we go. Easily distracted. Okay. All right. So then I will move the drink back here and have that going there. All right. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Let me turn and I will give you the QR code. There's your QR code right there. Once again, thanks to everybody who has been investing in Kickoff Coffee and helping them out as they continue to grow as a young company as well. So once again, Kickoff Coffee CO, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off of 15% off of your purchase. And then they in turn take 10% and they will roll it around and invest it in youth initiatives. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. So opening kickoff. Before we get into USMNT, before we keep talking about Ian, before we keep talking about all these other things, I got a question for you. How are you guys about dentists? I went to the dentist for my first teeth cleaning in a very, very long time yesterday. And, it's the whole thing where they're sandblasting you and they're going after everything. And this was like 90 minutes worth of sandblasting yesterday. I've never been a fan of dentists, never really enjoyed going to the dentist. Really, short of maybe in the last year, it's been quite some time between dental visits. So yesterday I got to spend 90 minutes in a chair while they decided to clean my teeth and do all these kinds of things and tell you that you've got to spend $4 gazillion on this special mouthwash. And here's your order of doing things. And you've got to make sure that you floss your teeth a certain way and that you've got to sit there. And it's like, you can't do it the way that you did it, because when I would floss my teeth, and because I now have a crown back like 232, I've become so incredibly paranoid about flossing these days that I'm like flossing more than ever. And I know that I don't know if you necessarily needed to know that, but just become really paranoid about kinds of things now that I have a crown in my mouth. I want to know how you guys are not. Yeah, it's a scam. My particular dentist, I love him. He's a cool dude, and he doesn't. He plays it straight with you. But I'm just not a fan of dentists, and I just want to know what you guys thought. If I was alone in this, where I don't like going, I understand I probably need to go, but I'm not a fan of going because I'm not a fan of things that have motors going on in your mouth. That's basically the only way I can describe it. And you have automated things and people trying to figure out how to work them in your mouth, been completely and totally freaked out by dentists ever since day one. It hasn't changed. Someone might get on it. Yeah, I know. But I wanted to know if I was alone in the notion of not liking going to the dentist. And I told my dental hygienist this yesterday. I said, look, I'm not a fan of this. I get it. I understand what you're here to do. I just have this innate fear of dentists. I don't like coming, and I don't like being here. I understand it's a necessary evil, but I just don't like being here. So do your thing so we can get it done as quickly as possible. Yeah, 90 minutes. So 90 minutes yesterday at the dentist's, and I can still feel it. I feel, like when you get your cleaning only takes 30 minutes. I do agree. They can push products I don't want. Yeah. Excuse me, Millie. Yeah. They gave me this high-powered mouthwash, a particular element of toothpaste. I mean, because I use like toothpastes that, yes, correct, Michael. You're right on. Dread visits to the dentist, doctor, and auto mechanic has all seemingly led to bad information and more dollars. Correct. Let's see. So they gave me this fancy mouthwash, a new toothbrush. When they said, "Okay, we need you to kind of do the electric," and I have an electric one, but because of when I had an electric, that was part of when I chipped my tooth and found out I needed a root canal, and then I got the crown. That whole chain of command thing, was not a fan of any and all any and all of this stuff. So yeah, I've just always thought that, never been a fan. Put at least one of my dentist kids through. Yeah, not wrong, not wrong. Not wrong, Nix, at all. Put at least one of your dentist kids through college. But yeah, so it was a harrowing time at the dentist yesterday, and I just wanted to make sure that I was either alone or not alone when it comes to, yeah. Too bad the teeth bones aren't covered like the rest. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to mute and get something to drink here. Something went down the wrong way. I don't know what happened, but once again, early show, not a surprise. All right, so good to know that I'm not alone. So that was a big thing for me. And when I found out I had to go to the dentist yesterday, well, I knew I had to go to the dentist, but when I found out everything coming back from the dentist yesterday, man, nothing like having something go down the wrong way early in the show. All right. That's our opening kickoff. Good to know that we all don't like going to the dentist or the doctor or the mechanic. All of those. Michael, you're right on. Once again, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. I know. It's like getting an oil change every 5 years. I know. I think, Emilio, I'm now into the cycle of going. So I think I'm stuck. I think I'm screwed. So, I had to get a root canal. So that started the whole thing back in March. And so now we're under normal. I've got to go back in 30 days so they can sit there and critique my flossing and how well I'm not doing it. Yeah, that was the other thing. When the flosses, it's like I floss and I do like 2 teeth at a time. They're like, no, you got to do 1 tooth and you got to have it real tight with the floss and everything. And you can't just go 2 at a time. You got to kind of do it this way and this way and this way and this way. So yeah, I got a course in flossing 101 yesterday. So got that too. Once again, here's your QR code from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. You can follow along Kickoff Coffee, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Kickoff Coffee, once again, thanks to our friends at American Football Provisions for being a part of everything here with them. And use the code soccer down here 15. Get 15% off of your purchase every single time that you get Kickoff Coffee. And they, in turn, take 10% and invest it in the youth game. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Okay, here we go. Right there is shaming that they try to do to you to do better. I'm 50, lady. It ain't changed. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Nick. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and say the 5 letters. I'll just go ahead and lay it out there for you so you can get your comments in the queue in the Twitch pitch. USMNT. Let me have it. I know that Nick's is probably at DEFCON 1 after yesterday. Goalless draw with Saudi Arabia. It didn't seem, I'm not going to say it wasn't inspired because you don't want to say that. They just seemed either hamstrung or confused or it was a difficult watch at times. I will guarantee you that. It was in watching it. I watched it again. I listened to it on the radio going to and from the dentist yesterday. And then I watched it again last night. And I wanted to see if there was anything that I missed, anything like that. And yeah, so Nick's is at DEFCON 1. All right. Nick's is at DEFCON 1 when it comes to the USMNT. So goalless draw with Saudi Arabia. And honestly, Saudi Arabia had 2 chances to put a goal in, except for a save at the back. And then I think 2 saves by Matt Turner. And then another was you had a defender in the way to kick it and clear it. So that was, 2 chances for the Saudis, and the U.S., not going to really look at the numbers, but when it came to Soccer America, you know how Soccer America will do the grades for everything involving men's players, men's player friendly ratings. Here's what they did. Matt Turner had a 5. Routine save in each half on low outside shots. Didn't hold on to the ball. In the 80th minute, stayed on his line. Lucky El Amri headed high from inside the goal area. All right. Defenders. Yedlin, Zimmerman, Dest all had 4s. Aaron Long had a 3. So Soccer America says Long's first touch, booting the ball out of bounds. Second was a header to Bahebri. And in the 15th minute, sent the ball to Al-Dassari, ending a 14-pass sequence by the U.S. So there's your defenders. Midfielders, McKinney and Acosta were 3s. Tyler Adams was a 4. Let's see. So Kellen Acosta, this is their analysis. From miss-hit passes to fouling a defender in the Saudi half who was facing his own goal, Kellen Acosta failed as stabilizer after replacing Japan game starter Luca Della Torre. Weston McKennie played mistake-prone ball in attack and defense. Would have been difficult without a score sheet to tell Acosta, McKinney, and Tyler Adams were supposed to be a trio. Midfield failed as a group and individually to bring rhythm or creativity to the game. Forwards, Gio Reyna, this is the other concern. Gio Reyna only lasting 30 minutes. And it was a muscle problem, subbed out. Muscle tightness is how it was described, subbed after 30. And Reyna found Pepe early, but Pepe was offside. Reyna's free kick after being fouled provided a chance for Pulisic. He headed it wide. Pulisic tried to get the offense going by working from further back. Saudis cut him off. Pepe was subbed after 59 minutes, and he had less than 20 touches in 59 minutes. I think it was 13 touches for Ricardo Pepe. Pepe got a 3. Pulisic got a 4. So, substitutes. Areola, Ferreira, McKenzie, Malk Tillman, 4s. Joe Scally got a 5. You had Ferreira, the only American to force a save from a keeper that plays in the second division in Saudi Arabia. Got the ball from Areola, and Ferreira shot from 13 between 2 defenders, but it was right at Al Rabai. Ferreira flicked the ball to set up Areola's lone shot in the 87th. Areola missed. Scally got so much of the ball, seemed Saudis wanted him to work his crosses. The hope that Scally would bring value to the game faded with each unsuccessful delivery. Once again, this is Soccer America's overview. McKenzie gave the ball shortly away after coming on, but a few minutes after he's robbed, intercepted a pass. No rating for Brendan Aronson, considering he only came in with a handful of minutes to go. He came in with 15 to go. And it also seemed that Ivan Bebec, the Croat referee, wasn't really interested in calling fouls either. It's like he kind of let a lot of stuff go. And the announced crowd of 364 in Murcia, Spain. And I mean, legitimately, I appreciate the idea that they put them behind the respective teams' benches, but it was an empty look and it was an empty sound, that stadium in Murcia, Spain, where you have the TV cameras behind the fans. You have the cameras behind the fans, and you don't see them except in the small cutaway where the camera tilts down. Like cameras 1 and 2 tilt down, and you see like that group of 20 or 25 American fans, and just basically an empty stadium. Maybe they should have put the fans on the other side. I know you'd be away from your benches, but at least you would show that there were people in the building. That's just a TV thought for me. Or put the cameras on the other side and from their positions that they're at 120% of the time, so you can show that the fans were there and you could hear them and all that kind of stuff. So, don't know, OG, if it does include goats. So, but no, it was you could hear the fans, you could hear them loudly with the play going after players with their chants and things like that. But yeah, 364 was the official attendance at that match yesterday. So shots, 7 for the U.S., 10 for Saudi Arabia. Both had 2 on target, so obviously 2 saves. 4 corners for the U.S., 3 for the Saudis. 10 fouls for the United States, 9 for the Saudis. There really should have been a lot more. Possession 55-45, but no. that really doesn't matter. So let's get into the quotes from the post game. All right. So Berhalter admitted it was not a positive camp. No duh. But he did say it was an informative one. Quote, I think we definitely got some clarity. We talked about it today with the coaching group. I think things became pretty clear, end quote. And so he was asked what things became clear. Berhalter just said things. Okay. Obviously a lot of folks were looking at the Reyna injury. And I think that, once again, it emphasized the fact of how important the folks that were not playing are, if that makes any sense. You didn't have Chris Richards, you didn't have Yunus Musa, and you know that their importance is there, and they need to be as healthy as humanly possible. I think that with the group that you saw in these two matches, you saw who wasn't there and how important it was for them to be healthy and for them to be there, if that makes any sense. So Berhalter says, if we're going to evaluate everybody, what I'd say in general is there's not many players that performed up to their normal levels in this camp. And that's just how it is. It's our job to get them confident they can perform up to their normal levels, end quote. You look at that, and you go to Walker Zimmerman. Zimmerman said the second half was definitely a little bit more of a struggle for us. We struggled more in build-up. I think they changed the way that they pressed. They began pressing with two forwards rather than one, gave us a little less time. They changed their shape later on in the second half to go to 5 across the back to prevent a little bit more of the space that they were letting up in the first half in behind, but we've got to create ways to break them down. I don't think we did a good enough job figuring out how to do that. So, once again, Aaron Long was asked about it after the match. Not the results we wanted from either of the two games, and I don't think either of us are too happy with the way that we played as well. Just wasn't the way we envisioned this game going, meaning Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman. We wanted to end on a big high, and it just leaves things that we need to work on, and we'll just turn the page, end quote. Also, you have Tyler Adams saying we felt that we improved. Not a million positives to take away from it, but still positives. I think in the first half, you could see the connections were better. We had a clearer idea of how we wanted to play. In the second half, I still think we need to figure out what to do when teams press us. We can't become frantic, and I think that that's probably the one quote that stuck with me is Tyler Adams. Once again, in the second half, I still think we need to figure out what to do when teams press us. We can't become frantic. We don't want to get disorganized. We want to stay comfortable under pressure, stay composed, and that's what we need to figure out still. Kellen Acosta, once again, he was mentioned in the article. So, Aaron Long, there's a lot to work on, but we're always going to be together. Tyler Adams, I think, heading out of camp now, whoever gets on that plane to Qatar, they need to come in with the right mindset and know that we have a lot of work to do. All right. Let's see. Soccer for Good OG. Eric Ronaldo on counterattack with Tony Meola. He's not holding back on anything, and Meola's piling on for good measure. Halftime adjustments, who'd have thunk it. OG, no plan B. And Nick's one great quote that you heard, one guy presses, two guys panic. And that you can't have. You just can't have it. And, when it did look like in the action that I saw against Saudi Arabia, that when Saudi Arabia pressed, the United States didn't know how to respond. And if you're having these questions against Saudi Arabia, and this is the last time that you're really getting together as a group before what you're going to be doing in Qatar, I mean, that should give you pause as to what you're trying to accomplish. And I know that, and I'm sure that, Nick's, I'm sure that you would agree with this, that the other teams in the group, after having looked at the United States in those two matches, they're not afraid of the United States. And they're also probably picking up pointers about the United States and how to deal with them from what they saw in these two matches. But, once again, I will maintain that the importance of the folks who weren't there, I think, were magnified in these situations. And so, You're trying to you need them as healthy as possible coming in, and you need to make sure that you're at 100% health-wise leading into everything. So, not to Michael had not to pile on, but didn't the USMNT say that this game was going to be max effort and different than Japan? Yeah, and you saw what happened with Saudi Arabia. Soccer for Good OG is 3GE is trying to micromanage every player movement, and that's a problem. And and obviously we'll bring in Dylan Butler here in hour number 2 to talk about it as well. But yeah, I mean, it's you see it's and I look at what you're looking at from the U.S. men's national team, and it seems like once somebody pushes, they don't know how to push back, if that makes any sense. And you can't have that, especially with all of the talent that is there. And you wonder if it's trying to respond within the system, capital T, capital S, or if they're trying to find ways to respond. And this is the other thing too, is that you have a lot of guys who are right there on the edges, and if they're going to be a part of the squad in Qatar, they don't want to create situations where they make more mistakes, you overthink, and then you create more mistakes, if that makes any sense. And so I think that you have a lot of guys who are trying to impress, but when they attempt to impress, it ends up going the other way, if that makes any sense. Yeah, trying too hard, then they're trying too hard because they're not that bad. And I think Kefsey, I think that's part of it. I think that you're trying not to make mistakes, and in trying not to make mistakes and secure your place, you're making mistakes and you're not securing your place. I mean, that seems kind of 180-degree philosophy, but the inverse is happening from what you are desiring your effect to be. And so, right now, if I'm trying to please the coach, OG, trying to please the coach, follow the plan, not think for themselves in this game, and trust their own instincts. Let's see. I mean, it's I mean, you look at that match yesterday with Saudi Arabia, and you're going, yeah, you need Jedi Robinson, you need Yunus Musa, you need Tim Weah definitely to be a part of this, and you need a healthy Gio Reyna for definitely as we go forward. But since it is a Wall Pass Wednesday, it's everything's on the board, so we'll talk about that. Let's see. In the next half hour, we'll kind of go through things. Last night, Major League Soccer, Cincinnati had a 1-0 lead, Brenner with a goal, but Seattle comes back and gets the draw at 1-1. So your situation with what's going on in the West with the standings and the East, we'll get into the West and work our way over. Seattle, 2 matches to go, and they've only got 1 point of a margin of error because Minnesota's at 45. They're the last one who is in at 32 matches. Everybody in the West is at 32 matches, 2 to go. So 2 to go. Here's your lockdown. LAFC, top seed in the West. We've got that. You've got Austin, 55 points. Right now, they are a point away from second because they have 16 wins. Dallas has 13 wins. Dallas is at 50 points. Nashville's at 47. Here's where the fun begins. Nashville's at 47. They're in fourth. LA's at 46 with 13 wins. They're in fifth. Portland's at 11 wins and 46 points. They're in sixth. Minnesota, 13 wins, 45 points in seventh. That's where things stand. So let's go with everybody who is left. Colorado was eliminated last night with the point that was put on the board. Colorado, KC, Houston, San Jose, all eliminated. Now, Vancouver, 40 points, 11 wins. Seattle, 40 points, 12 wins. Salt Lake, 43 points, 11 wins. That's where you are right now. So only 3 teams outside of the playoff picture in the West have any shot of getting in, but they need a lot to fall their way. Right. Now, in the East, the point that we were looking at, as long as Cincinnati didn't get a full result, honestly, if you're looking for Atlanta United to make the playoffs, what you're looking for in this situation is no full results, and didn't happen with Cincinnati. And right now they're at 32 matches, 46 points after the 1-1 draw. Philly at 64 points needs probably 2 points in 2 matches to secure the top seed in the East, because Montreal's 5 points back and they have the same number of wins, 64 points to 59. Red Bulls at 50 points, 14 wins. NYC 49 points, 14 wins. All of them have played 32 matches. Cincinnati played their 32nd match last night, 2 to go. 11 wins, 46 points. Orlando, match in hand, 31 points, 13 wins. Miami, 42 points, 31 matches, 12 wins. And realistically, I think that anybody below the playoff bar, you're looking at that Miami slot. You're not looking at 5 and 6. You're looking at the 7. Columbus, 42 points, 9 wins. Columbus, if any kind of tiebreaker happens, they're going to lose out because they don't have the same number of wins, and they can only max out at 12. And so they would need to win out, and then they would be in. But if they're at 42 points, any kind of a tiebreaker, they would be the second team right now because of the least number of wins. Atlanta, 40 points, 2 matches to go. You know that Atlanta United's got to win in New England this weekend, and they've got to win on decision day against NYC. Then everybody else gets figured out with what everybody else is doing. Charlotte's at 38 points, 31 matches played. New England's still in it at 38 points, 32 matches played. New England and Atlanta, for all intents and purposes, is once again another mutual elimination game from the playoffs. 1 point helps neither team. And if you're Atlanta, you need full points to get you into the playoff picture. If you're New England, you still need full points to have a shot at getting to 44 points and having that be the 7th position. With the team, with specifically Miami being the one that would stumble between now and their final 3 matches. Chicago, Toronto, D.C. all eliminated in the East. So that's where we are with the playoff picture right now, coming in from the 1-1 draw last night with Atlanta United and with FC Cincinnati and Seattle. And we'll talk to Nico Moreno once again. We'll talk to Nico about it on tomorrow afternoon late. My location might be a little interesting, considering that I have to be up at Mill Creek High School later that afternoon for a shoot for television. So you might see some pretty things in the background, and it might be done live from a parking lot or something like that. But I'll keep you posted with everything there tomorrow. Nico Moreno scheduled for 5-ish Eastern time, and we'll see what happens with Nico. And his thoughts on what's going on in the West from a Western perspective about what's going on in the East. So we'll catch up with him for Thursdays with Nico tomorrow afternoon. Also on the boards, getting into what happened yesterday. We'll get into all the results from there. Lionel Messi is ridiculous. And once again, that continues to be evidence that was placed in after yesterday at Red Bull Arena. And here's another question for you. If you, and like I said, this is a Wall Pass Wednesday, so pretty much anything's on the table. If you had the chance to have your favorite superstar sign you, meaning your person, would you do it? Because yesterday in the match, you saw that there were 3 pitch invaders, I want to say, with Argentina and Jamaica. And in the match, one of the guys took his shirt off as he wanted Lionel Messi to sign him. Sign his latissimus dorsi, his muscle back there. Not the shirt, but sign his person. Would you have your favorite individual, actor, humanitarian, athlete, would you have them sign your person? And then what would you do with it? Because you're gonna watch. You got to shower at some point. You hope that that's not in. Maybe what you do is you go to a tattoo parlor and you maybe have the guy stencil that L that's on the guy's lat, and you have that be a tattoo. Yeah, here's where Lionel Messi signed my back, and do something like that. Or get a Messi tattoo. Yeah, I mean. So, yeah, would you take that signature? Would you take that L before you got absolutely rushed by the 3 security guys who seemed to be more of a threat to Messi than to the guy who wanted the signature? I mean, Messi was cool. Messi was cool with it. He's just like he's got the marker. He's sitting there and he's about ready to sign. He signed the L. And there's video out on social media of the guy after the match outside Red Bull Arena, just kind of wandering around the streets in Harrison, New Jersey, and somebody actually walked around with their camera phone and shot the guy with the L on his back, with that L from Lionel, before security came and blew that whole situation up. So the L is there, Nick's, not the rest of it, because Messi got attacked from behind by the three security guys who were trying to get to the fan first, and they got the Messi first, knocked Messi over. If I was Argentina, I'd be mad at the security forces after what happened with that. But yeah, so that's pretty much, yeah. It's as someone with ink, yeah, Nix, I would consult with you in this situation. If your favorite star signed a particular body part, do you turn that into ink, knowing that ink's going to go away? And so apparently the consensus here on a Wall Pass Wednesday is yes, that you would have Lionel Messi's or your favorite person turned into ink before you end up having to bathe that particular spot and have the ink go away. But friendlies yesterday, Colombia beat Mexico. Mexico had an early lead, lost it again. And so, Nix, if you thought the DEFCON 1 was here in the States, I don't know what's worse than DEFCON 1 other than the actual missiles in the air. But, yeah, Mexico loses again at a plus 138 to Colombia. Guatemala and Honduras. Honduras won that one 2-1. Argentina, once again, 3-0. Messi's goals were ridiculous. Peru won last night, and in the afternoon, Paraguay and Morocco were goalless. Brazil, a big winner, no surprise. Egypt, a big winner, no surprise. Qatar and Chile had a 2-2 draw. Uruguay beat Canada 2-0. It'll be interesting to see what the response is north of the border about Canada losing their last one. Nick's Tata's, well, I wonder how rash folks are going to be with Tata in Mexico and El Tri. I mean, you're 50-something days out. In their mind, is it as untenable as possible? And you're just going to go ahead and sit there and send him and really blow things up between now and Qatar. I mean, that always seems to be that specter that's hanging over the program with El Tri. Do you go ahead and do something now and completely and totally tear things asunder heading into Qatar with a new manager, no meeting time? They're going to have the time when everybody assembles before you get to Qatar, but there's always going to be that portion of the population that's going to want to sit there and go, what can be worse? Well, what could be worse is not getting out of group, and you don't want that. And right now, this, short of what we're seeing out of Canada, even though Canada lost yesterday as a home favorite, and I'll put those in quotes, Uruguay got the win 2-0. So Canada lost yesterday. Mexico lost yesterday. The U.S. drew yesterday in a match that a lot of folks thought they should have won. So that was, some crazy fan might think differently. Yeah. Like I said, I put nothing past no one, Nick's, to be honest with you. Anticipate from 100% and work your way from there. So think of the worst possible scenarios and come forward. That's how I've always looked at things when it comes to athletics. Think of the extreme and come forward. So don't be surprised. They do already have a tough group, and it gets made tougher if you change your manager. I know. Ropes you right on. So, like I said, nothing. Be surprised by nothing. Anticipate everything, and if nothing changes, then that's your mean. So that's your baseline. So that's how I look at things in pretty much any sport where you can have reactionary elements that are attached to good, bad, indifferent, ugly, what have you. It was a bad day for CONCACAF yesterday, Michael. No doubt about it. Getting into gossip, rumor, innuendo, things like that, getting you ready for today. Let's get you into viewing habits and let you know what's going on today for anything. Oh, before we get into the U19s, claimed the Slovenian Nations Cup with a 2-1 win over Scotland. So good work there. Marko Mitrovic brought in the group players born 0405, Sergio Origel Jr. from Reed Baker Whiting, and then 20 minutes later, Marco Zambrano from Osendina. So 2-0 there, 2-1, and So that was your roster for the U19. So they win the Slovenia Nations Cup with the 2-1 win over Scotland. So there's promise there in the 19s. Kevin Paredes shined in the U20 win over Paraguay. Remember Paredes? For those of you that follow along with Atlanta United 2, got to see Kevin Paredes with Loudoun United in the USL Championship on a visit. Moved to Wolfsburg for just under $7.5 million back in January. Kevin Paredes scored and assisted in USL's third and final game in the Revelations Cup hosted in Mexico. That 2-0 win over Paraguay set up Brian Gutierrez's goal in the 30th minute. Neither were available for CONCACAF U20 Championship. Mikey Veras' team won in July to clinch spots for the 23 U20 and the 24 Olympics. So Mexico beat Peru 2-1 to clinch the title there. But it's been good to see Caleb Wiley get some work in with the U20s. Soccer on TV today. You're looking at, once again, everything's subject to change. I'm not anticipating that the Tampa Bay El Paso match in USL Championship is going to be played at Al Lang tonight at 8 o'clock. So keep an eye on that. It does impact the playoff picture in both conferences. So they've got to find a time to play this match, and they have to find a place to play this match where it's anticipated that the power might be off for a while in that section of Florida on the Gulf Coast. So keep an eye on Tampa Bay and El Paso tonight. That's on supposed to be on ESPN Deportes and on ESPN Plus. Jason Longshore and I will be on the call for the home finale for Atlanta United 2. They'll have two other matches out west after this week, the final two matches of the regular season. If you can make it out, make it out. It's going to be a great night. Temperatures in the 50s. You could bring a light jacket and show your support for the Twos, who've done a lot of growing this year as individuals and as a group under Jack Collison. So home finale tonight, Indy 11, 7:30 kick, 7:30 air, kickoff about 7:36. So Jason and I will be there for that one. If you can't make it, although we'd love for you to make it to the Fraction tonight, it's on ESPN Plus. Sacramento Republican Phoenix rising. Phoenix clinging on to their playoff hopes by the skin of their chinny chin chin, and Sac Republic trying to get their position. That's at 2 o'clock. You've got a lot of college soccer starting at 2 o'clock. You got a lot of women's soccer starting at 2:30. Flow FC has Penn State and Villanova at 1. The Brazilian Brasileiro kicks in with 8 matches starting at 6, 4 at 6 o'clock, 1 at 8, 3 at 8:45. We'll go over those two boxes in just a little bit. And DAZN on YouTube, you've got Women's Champions League at 8:30 this morning. So they are going on right now, Roma and Sparta Prague. So that's all your viewing habits for today that are on the TV that we know, and without going into VPNs and things like that. So looking at the activity for today, getting you ready in short order. We got matches going on right now. Traditionally, we always do. It's lower division stuff, cup stuff in Italy and Europe and Eastern Europe and the Middle East and North Africa. You've got reserve leagues going on. Champions League, Vlasnia and Vorskla Poltava's at 10 for the women. A lot of lower division stuff continuing here through the for the late morning hours. Champions League at noon for the women as well. Then Ajax and Arsenal Champions League, that's at 1 o'clock. Arsenal's a minus 200 playing Ajax. PSG's a big favorite at 12:45 going up against Häcken from Sweden. Once again, you're looking in the afternoon. You're getting into more Champions League. You're getting into Europe. You're getting into Copa do Brazil. Real Madrid, large favorite in the Champions League for women at 2 o'clock. KFC, no doubt. Wish them luck. Looking forward to what's next when the competition changes next year to MLS Next Pro. They're in their semifinals, by the way. They have their Eastern and Western Conference finals coming up in short order. We'll try to see what we can do in catching up with them when they get to their championship game. We'll see what's going on with that. Spain, you've got that. You've got Juve's women and Koge, big favorite. Juve there, big favorite by Benfica at 2:30 with Rangers as well. Lower divisions with Italy and Spain and Scotland getting you into the mid-afternoon. You're starting to get into South American activity in the late afternoon. El Salvador starts. You've got Venezuela, Copa Argentina at 6 o'clock with River Plate at a minus 238 at Patronato. Serie A in Brazil, including Fluminense, Corinthians, Atlético Goianiense, Fortaleza, Coritiba, all the heavyweights. That's at 6 o'clock. All the big names in Serie A. You've got USL Championship tonight. Indy 11 is a minus 114 coming to the fraction. Uruguay, River Plate of Uruguay against Defensor, Peñarol, and Boston River. They're all at 7:30. Costa Rica, our friends at Alajuelense, they played 8 o'clock. Serie A, Atletico and Palmeiras. That's another heavyweight match. Atletico to plus 117. Internacional's at a minus 130 against Bragantino. Goiás and Botafogo at 8:45 as well. Copa Argentina, Boca Juniors is at 9 o'clock going up against Quilmes. Boca Juniors is a minus 145. Also, you've got Primera in El Salvador, Sacramento Republic a minus 172 with Phoenix Rising, and that gets you through with all your viewing habits except for Saprissa, our friends there at 10:15, and a big favorite as they host Guanacasteca. So that's your viewing habits for tonight. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let's get you through that. Once again, anticipating Dylan Butler hanging out with us at the top of the hour. And it looks like that he will be joining us because you never know how busy some guys are sometimes. One of the busiest men in show business, Dylan Butler. Argentina forward Lionel Messi set to leave PSG in the summer as he will refuse any new contract offer. That's from BTF via the Star. So we'll see how much credence that has. England striker Harry Kane remains Bayern Munich's number one transfer target, with the German giant set to once again test Tottenham's resolve. That is from Kicker. Newcastle ready to make a third bid on Leicester City and England midfielder James Maddison after having offers of 40 and 45 million turned down. That's from the Times newspaper. England midfielder Jude Bellingham should join, and this is from Ben Foster. So Ben Foster is saying, according to our friends at the Metro, that Jude Bellingham should join Manchester United when he leaves Borussia Dortmund. Yes, well, Ben Foster is a former keeper for Manchester United. He would say something like that. Liverpool, who've also been linked to Bellingham, have begun to target alternative midfielders, looking at Benfica's 21-year-old Argentine Enzo Fernandez. That comes from our friends at Fichajes via Team Talk. You know that the release clause is 9 figures with Enzo Fernandez. I don't quite think that Liverpool will flinch in that situation. Might be a little bit of a negotiation, but I don't think they'll flinch. Borussia Dortmund monitoring Naby Keita, could look to sign the 27-year-old on a free next summer when his Reds contract runs out. Remember, there was talk about a swap with Bellingham and Naby Keita there. Chelsea will not lower their asking price of £31 million for Christian Pulisic, as Juve has shown interest in signing the 24-year-old. That comes from our friends at Calcio Mercato. I'd love to know where Juve is going to come up with the cash, but that's just me. Chelsea also looking to hold further talks with Bayer Leverkusen's Tim Steidten over the sporting director role over Stamford Bridge. AC Milan interested in Chelsea striker Armando Broja as they look for a forward next summer. Once again, that's from our friends at Calcio Mercato. Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal, and this is what I thought might be the direction. Al Hilal claimed that Manchester United's Cristiano Ronaldo was interested in joining them in the summer. That comes from the Daily Mirror. That's not a surprise because Cristiano Ronaldo running out of markets to play. And so what's left? UAE, Saudi, maybe going back home, some rich payday somewhere. So for me, it was going to be like UAE, Saudi Arabia, something like that, Qatar, one of those ambassadorial roles. So not a surprise that we get this story out of the Mirror that Al Hilal had interest from Cristiano Ronaldo. Eintracht Frankfurt Danish playmaker Jesper Lindstrom has reacted to reports linking him to a move with Arsenal, saying, quote, "It's great clubs like them are watching me," from Tipsbladet via the Express. Leeds due to open contract talks with England winger Jack Harrison, who was subject of a reported 20 million Newcastle bid in the summer, 20 million pounds. Midfielder's current deal runs out in the summer of 2024. Former Tottenham PSG coach Mauricio Pochettino, who'd been linked with the England manager's job, was at Wembley to watch their 3-3 draw with Germany. He's also turned down other gigs recently as well. Speaking of Chelsea, they've sacked their head physio, Thierry Laurent, the fourth member of the backroom team to leave Stamford Bridge in the past week. Newcastle monitoring Brazilian 18-year-old midfielder Andre Santos, who plays for Vasco da Gama. That comes from Fabrizio Romano. And then this came across very, very early this morning. Egypt-born forward Garang Kual, who is only 18, is set to arrive in England to sign for Newcastle United from Australian club Central Coast Mariners, although the Magpies are not expected to register him until January. And that comes from a couple of different sources, including those south of the border. So interesting pickup possibly there for the for once again folks who are looking to add to their stacks, and so Newcastle's a part of that. Now next up, it's idiots down here for a couple of minutes before Dylan joins us at the top of the hour. FIFA's opened an investigation after Tottenham forward Richarlison had a banana thrown at him as he was racially abused during Brazil's friendly win over Tunisia in Paris on Tuesday. The incident occurred as he ran towards the corner flag to celebrate scoring his side's second goal in their 5-1 win at the Parc des Princes. Footage showed Manchester United midfielder Fred kicking the banana away while other objects were also thrown onto the pitch. Tottenham came on their Twitter account with a picture. We were disgusted by the racist abuse of Richarlison at last night's game between Brazil and Tunisia. This has no place in football or anywhere. And we stand with you, Rishi. FIFA issued a statement. This is the equivalent of thoughts and prayers at this point. FIFA issuing a statement. First and foremost, FIFA strongly rejects any form of racism and violence and has a very clear zero-tolerance stance against any such behavior in football. FIFA will investigate the incident in yesterday's game in Paris. Prior to the game, Brazil posed for photographs with an anti-racism banner, which without our black players, we wouldn't have stars on our shirts. The CBF, the Brazilian Football Federation, later issued a statement condemning the abuse of Richarlison, calling for strong punishments. Quote, after Brazil's second goal, a banana was thrown toward Richarlison. The CBF reinforces its stance against discrimination, vehemently repudiates yet another episode of racism in football. Whether on the field or off the field, attitudes like this cannot be tolerated. Richarlison said racism would continue if there was no punishment handed out. Amen. Quote, as long as they keep blah, blah, blah and don't punish, it's going to continue like this, happening every day and in every corner. Thiago Silva. Quote, I was saddened by the gesture they made because that's not football. Football's about supporting your team. Afterwards, on the pitch, we try to give our all for our national team, but gestures like that are not good for football. CBF President Ronaldo Rodriguez, once again, quote, I come publicly to express my rejection. This time I saw it with my own eyes. This shocks us. We must always remember that we are all the same, regardless of color, race, or religion. The fight against racism is not a cause, but a fundamental battle for change to wipe this type of crime from the planet. I insist on saying that the punishments need to be more severe. End quote. You ain't kidding. And once according to Piara Power, executive director of FAIR, an anti-racism network in European football, it's an intercontinental friendly between Tunisia, who's CAF, Brazil, who's CONMEBOL, so it's going to be different. And this is from Piara Power. Difficult to know who has responsibility for governing the match, and that's one of the questions we're asking FIFA this morning. I think, and this is Power once again, I think whenever a banana is thrown in a football stadium, it's premeditated. I don't buy the argument that someone happened to have it on them. I don't think the Parc des Princes was selling fruit at the concession stand. That's just me. Generally, what we would be doing is presenting information to FIFA to have the Tunisian FA sanctioned, because that's the way football regulation works. I guess the Tunisian FA would say, well, this was in Paris. We don't know if this was one of our fans. We don't know where the ticket was bought. So there are a whole lot of issues which I think are going to get into the way of justice for Richarlison, hoping the French authorities can identify the individual through CCTV, or the rest can be made. Already been in contact with FIFA. They're aware of it. Yeah. So racism down here, idiots down here again. And, so we're looking into that. And UEFA, the Finnish Football Federation, said there will be no formal investigation by UEFA into alleged racial abuse of Glenn Kamara while he was on duty in Finland. They say the Rangers player did not want to make a formal complaint. UEFA subsequently confirmed no racist incident has been reported from Sahil Jaika, their editor in Scotland. Statement from the Finnish FA went for 3 paragraphs, actually went for 6 sentences. In March, Kamara told Sky Sports News he still receives racist abuse on social media after the Andre Kudela incident last year. We all remember that. Claimed he was racially abused by Kudela late in their match against Slavia Prague back in March of 2021. Kudela, who was handed a 10-game ban by UEFA for racist behavior, has always denied the claims. So nothing further in the investigation for the Finnish Fed and UEFA in alleged racist abuse directed at Glenn Kamara. So, once again, we have idiots down here, and it's not changing unless somebody takes a stand. And so we're waiting for that moment when somebody takes a stand. Some governing body waiting for you to do it. Also, quick other work before Dylan Butler joins us at the top of the hour from the Daily Mirror. Surprising no one, Erling Haaland has reportedly urged former Borussia Dortmund teammate Jude Bellingham to join him at Manchester City. Mourinho has highlighted Jurrien Timber, a summer target for Manchester United, as a player he wants for Roma. Atletico Madrid have been linked with a shock move to sign Gerard Piqué, whose relationship with Xavi has reportedly broken. Harry Maguire stayed behind at Wembley for almost 2 hours to hold a private chat with boss Gareth Southgate. Arsenal sweating on the fitness of a number of players ahead of the derby in the North London derby with Spurs following the latest round of international fixtures. Let's see if there's anybody else that has anything laid out that we missed. Manchester United forward Daily Express, Anthony and Jadon Sancho battling over who will get to wear the iconic number 7 when Cristiano Ronaldo eventually leaves the club in advance of next season. So, body's not even warm. I want his jersey. I get it. Athletic Bilbao forward Iñaki Williams has confirmed he rejected the chance to join Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp in a mega money transfer. Evening Standard, Chelsea boss Graham Potter has been handed a triple injury boost with Conte, Mendy, and Pulisic all nearing a return. Barcelona missing up to 6 players with injury ahead of a frantic fixture schedule, which includes El Clasico. Manchester Evening News, Luke Shaw has said he's accepted why he has been dropped by Erik ten Hag, vowed to be ready when called upon. Cristiano Ronaldo played down any fears he could be a doubt for the derby against City after suffering an injury to his face while on international duty. Anthony says Erik ten Hag has changed the way he trains players since leaving Ajax to take charge of Manchester United early in the season. So that is your rundown of all the gossip, rumor, innuendo, everything going on. And speaking of, see, he just pops right up. The timing is perfect. The timing is absolutely perfect once again. And so that means that since it's the top of the hour, I get to do this. Beat 2, 3, 4. Still waiting. I still wish that thing was faster. So I could. So Dylan Butler hanging out. So first and foremost, before we actually get into soccer, how was your high school game this past weekend?
It was actually really good. It ended up. It's funny, and you'll get this, John, certainly better than most. But you do all this prep, and you're all ready, and you have all these storylines, and you get excited about the game. And it's Friday night here in New York was the first feeling of fall, right? And that gets you like pumped up for some high school football, right? Friday night, and right away, the home team reels off 14 points, and you're like, oh my God. This is going to be 3 hours of just trying to fill, making something interesting in a 45-2 game where people who come into the game that you've barely got any prep for, and it ended up the other team came back, and it literally came down to, a sack at the end that was super exciting. So it was like 5 of the final 6 touchdowns that I called were for 50 or more yards.
Wow.
So, and it was like, punch, counter punch. Like it was back and forth. It wasn't like a blowout. Granted, a ton of missed tackles, but exciting touchdown, certainly. One team, the traditional team, just kicking. The other team, they literally always go for 2, which also throws another tweak into it. So that's my long form answer to say that it was fun.
Nothing wrong with that on a football Friday night. We'll talk about your upcoming matchup at the end of the segment. But after yesterday, We were talking in the Twitch pitch this morning, and some folks are at DEFCON 1 when it comes to the U.S. men's national team after losing to Japan, getting nothing on the board against Saudi Arabia. That is not me. By the way, where are you when it comes to your level of DEFCON-ness in the U.S. men's national team? Are you like Barry Corbin in War Games in the chair, rocking back and forth, going, take us to DEFCON 2, get Sack on the line and scramble the bombers? Where are you right now?
I got to admit, I'm generally a more optimistic person, just in my daily life, and remember too, I'm a Newcastle fan, so I kind of have to be. True. Right, to have that fandom.
Yep.
But I got to admit, John, like there was, I'm not sure what, maybe a point in the second half, like yesterday, I literally kind of for mental health reasons, I just walked away. Like I couldn't.
It was a difficult watch, no lie.
I couldn't like. I was like, let's go outside with the dog. Let's like, I could not watch. And it's like my job. I'm supposed to. I knew I had this spot. But it was difficult. That was in the immediate, right? And then like, I can't say that I'm necessarily more optimistic now, but I have a better maybe vantage point now, thinking back and looking back at what we've seen these last two games. And it's not been good, obviously. It's not the way you want to enter the World Cup, especially after missing the previous competition. But I will say this, and I make the analogy to my nearly 4-year-old daughter, right? There is times that I'm just amazed at how mature she is, right? Like at 4, and the words that she says and her actions, and I'm almost like, are you 12 suddenly? Like, what is going on? And then there's times when, as a father, you take a step back and you want to really be like, what are you doing? And then you realize, wait a minute, she's still 3.
Yeah.
She's not even 4. So I bring that analogy to this team, where they are going to be the youngest team at the World Cup, regardless of who Greg Berhalter picks and chooses, right? Like, and there's going to be these moments that I think it's hard to accept as a fan, right? But there has to be an understanding that that's what you get with youth as well, right? Like there's going to be these bad moments, and you have to sort of roll with it and understand, wait a minute, we are the youngest team, right, at the World Cup. Now that said, there's certain attributes that this team has shown throughout qualification, throughout bigger matches, that they didn't show here, right? Like just seemingly like the swagger wasn't there, the confidence wasn't there. And it was strange because it felt like for the first time they were nerves, right? Like they didn't seem they were nerves when there was some hiccups in World Cup qualifying. And maybe it's because there's a belief they could beat anybody in CONCACAF.
Yeah.
But for the first time, it really felt like they were like, they felt a little bit almost like, whoa, in 2 months, it's actually happening, which is concerning, obviously, right? Like you need, in times like this, I feel like you need that veteran presence. And even if it's not going to be your head coach, to walk you through those moments, right? And like hold their hands, again, bringing back the analogy to my daughter. And I'm not sure, like, I think the only one who maybe can do this on the team is a DeAndre Yedlin, right? Because he's been there. He's played in the World Cup before. But when they look around that locker room, there's not a lot of faces who have that experience. And you wonder if that's going to be a big issue in Qatar in 2 months.
When you, I mean, it was a difficult watch at points yesterday. and you could see them struggling in trying to formulate solutions at times. I think it also reinforced how important the missing pieces were. No Jedi, no Musa, no Weah, and no points and no goals. But I think that was a part of it too. And it just seemed like, it seemed like they were everyone was looking for everyone else to perhaps kind of take this game by the scruff of the neck and lead everybody forward. And you didn't get that individual with that group yesterday.
100%. And I feel like, excuse me, I feel like even the armband, like we've had this conversation before, you, me and Jason, like I've said it for the longest. I think Tyler Adams should absolutely be the captain of this team.
Yeah.
I've seen it, back in the Red Bull days, even as a young kid, and you're seeing all the stories, right? Like that come out afterwards about how he was just getting at older veterans, even at a young age. I don't think a Christian Pulisic is that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Look, he's got enough on his plate, right? And I don't know how much the armband weighs on a guy like that or anybody. But I'd imagine being the captain of your national team is a really, really major responsibility. And I don't think it's one for Pulisic. Like I would give it to Adams full time. I would just say it straight out. Like Adams is our captain in the World Cup. We have a leadership committee, and include Pulisic in that, include a Weston McKennie in that. You can include a DeAndre Yedlin again if he's selected, which I think he should be because of his experience. But that's one for me. Like I don't, and maybe then he plays freer. I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating. I'm not in his head. But if it's something that weighs on him, take it off his shoulders, right? Like there's nothing wrong with not being the captain, right? Like it's not a knock against a Christian Pulisic. So that's one thought for me. And the other two was, everyone in U.S. men's national team fandom in the Twitter space, everyone wanted answers after these two games, right? We wanted to know, what's the center back pairing? Who's your starting nine? How is this team going to look? And I don't feel like anything has been answered, right? Like except perhaps what we saw in that first match, at least, where I think we're pretty confident in that Matt Turner is a starting goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I feel like almost there's more questions now than there were before. I almost came into it. I was like, when I like around 7:00 or 8:00 last night, I was like, I just almost wish they'd never played these games. Like it just like there's just not a good feeling, right, going into the World Cup. Now again, the flip side of that is, and I wrote it, I think, after the Japan match. I did the recap for MLSsoccer.com. If Greg Berhalter wanted his team to feel uncomfortable, right, going into this, well, it's mission accomplished. So
yes, no doubt.
And that continued yesterday as well.
All right. So then, is there a position group that concerns you? Oh, who's your mug today, by the way?
Oh, it's almost hockey season here, so I got a little New York Rangers.
Okay, there you go. All right. There it is, New York Rangers. Is there a position group that concerns you more than any other, or is this just a group level of concern for you right now? Because, keeper, Matt Turner showed why he's one of the best in the world and continues to do so. But then you have the discussion with him and Stefan. Backline pairing, Long and Zimmerman. I know a lot of folks were concerned about Aaron Long and how he's not 100%. Is it Richards? Is it EPB? Is it, take your alphabet soup there? Is there a position group that more concerns you more than any other, or is it still just everybody concerns the hell out of you?
No, it's still. Look, I think you said it, and I think people lose sight of it, and you pointed out to it very well early on. Is you were still missing guys, right? Like, so put out your best 11, and I'm pretty confident in the midfield group, right? I'm pretty confident in the wingers. Granted, both teams just seem to beat the hell out of Brendan Aronson.
Yes.
But there's still the obvious concern with the forward, right? And like, you don't, obviously in this game, you don't just get games from your goals from your forward, right? It's not like football where you're only getting one guy basically throwing touchdowns. You can get goals from a lot of different guys, but that, among other things, is what they're paid for, right? Like, to put the ball in the back of the net.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that I'm super confident in anybody who's out there for that first match to say, we've got our 9, like, let's go, right? Like, we ride with him. And that's a problem, especially when you're even with the extended roster. Like, how many forwards are you bringing, right? Like, you could only make so many subs in a game, right? Like, there's only I don't know, like, I think Pepe got his chance for a last run out, perhaps, and I still don't think he's the guy.
Then who is the guy for you?
If game 1 was tomorrow,
yeah,
and I had to put out a striker, obviously you have to, but I would put Jesus Ferreira.
Okay.
I think he checks off more of the boxes, but if I don't see anything in 60 minutes, like, that's maybe my first sub. Like, and then the question is it Sargent? Like, I think
is it PFOC for you? Is PFOC in the discussion?
I think he should be, right? And you almost wonder, like, was he not in camp because maybe he's shown enough, right? And you didn't see enough from a Pepe, or you wanted to see one last opportunity for a Pepe. But yes, I think he's got to be in the conversation. The question is, do you bring 4 forwards or you bring 3, right?
Well, I think you've got to protect your flank in this situation and probably bring 4, though. Yeah.
So if you bring 4, you're bringing Ferrara.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're bringing Sargent.
Yes.
I think you're bringing PFOC.
Yes.
And then I don't know. I guess you're bringing Pepe.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be my guess. Yeah. And you're once again.
But now you've got injury concerns as well, right? Gio Reyna, like,
yes.
You have to bring in an extra winger because of that concern.
Nobody said this was easy. It should be a lot easier, you would think, with the talent that's there. But once again, injuries playing a part with a lot of your key cogs, and you're trying to figure out your depth, and your depth is having to start, and your depth that you're having to start and not have your depth is not producing. And so this domino effect that we're talking about just continues. And now we're seeing it with the men's national team, in addition to teams with Major League Soccer chasing after playoff berths.
Yeah, I mean, you want to. I mean, like, ideally, you want to have 2 at every position that you're really comfortable with, right?
Right.
But certain positions are worth more on the field than others. Mm-hmm. So, that's the question, I guess, with forward is, do you then have 4, but do you risk being low on the wing, right? Like, do you bring a Jordan Morris who, has experience playing as a number 9? So does Tim Weah, by the way. So they haven't in his system, right? But maybe that's another possibility where those guys could add depth at that position. Now, I guess the good news is it's not exactly like Wales and England and Iran have lit the world on fire either, right?
No, but I don't think they're intimidated, though, by
No.
looking at what you've seen from the U.S. in these last 2 matches. You just sit there and go, okay, I know what we're doing. We're pressing. Yep. We're pressing the ever-loving daylights out of them because they don't seem to know how to handle the press right now.
Fair shout, exactly, right? So, and it doesn't appear like there's a plan B necessarily for Berhalter, or an unwillingness to utilize a plan B because, again, maybe you want them to be uncomfortable in games like this to, I can't say make it easier because how could it be easier when you're on the world stage in the in the World Cup?
And you're young and you're uncomfortable on the world stage.
Yeah. So
all of those emotional aspects that are attached to being the youngest squad that's there on the world stage.
Might be different stuff in this mug come November 21st.
Every morning, no doubt about it. And then, hey, Black Friday's England. I know that something might be in that mug that's definitely going to be different.
Who's going to be the guy, by the way? Did you see this? His name escapes me, but the guy Wales. Did you see this video of him typing? Yeah, Michael, dude. Yeah. Amazing. Who's that going to be for us?
That was the question.
Man in Blazers popped it up, right?
Well, I mean, that was the question that we had yesterday on the show. Okay. And I was like, okay, who do you get to give the appropriate speech where you're hearing stuff like this?
Well, as a proud Welshman, you must be excited to be playing England in the World Cup this winter.
Oh, yes.
Can I ask you, could you give us a little burst of the sort of rousing speech that you might give the Welsh lads before the game?
Oh, my God. That's a big responsibility.
Yes. Can we have some music, please?
All right. I have to get in the right headspace now. Okay. Amarohid. I hear the voices singing. Speed your journey, boys back. One nation, singing with one voice. A song of hope, a song of courage, a victory song that floats through the valleys like a red mist, rolls over the mountaintops like crimson thunder. A red storm is coming to the gates of Qatar. It crackles with the spirit of 58 and Jimmy Murphy's boys. It turns the pages of the history books and finds Rob's page, waiting, still to be written. What would you write in there, boys? Dare you write your names on that page? We haven't waited 64 years and come halfway around the world to be troubled by a neighbour from back home. When the English come knocking on our door, let's give them some sugar, boys! Let's give them some Welsh sugar! They've always said we're too small, we're too slow, we're too weak, too full of fear. But Amarohid, you sons of speed, as they fall around us, we are still here! Come on!
There we go. All right, so here were some of our answers, by the way.
Yeah.
We had Kurt Russell as Herb Brooks. do that. We had the Al Pacino character in Any Given Sunday, the head coach there. We had that one. Someone had mentioned in the Twitch pitch Steph Curry to give the lesson and perhaps maybe take them out on the golf course after and take them to school. Didn't really, those were like the names that were listed yesterday when we brought this question to the floor. And by the way, it's been brilliant for the FA of Wales to bring Michael Sheen in to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, I feel like we're at the point in our headspace with the U.S. national team. It's probably going to be Michael Scott, right? Like he'll come out with like, "I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little bit stitious." Like, let's go.
I'm a little stitious. Do you bring the Rock in?
I don't know.
Who cuts the promo, Dylan?
It's a young team, so like, who do they?
You bring Stone Cold Steve Austin in?
Who do these young kids? Like, I don't know. LeBron? I don't know.
Roman Reigns, LeBron James.
LeBron has that soccer connection, right? A little bit. So.
A little Liverpudlian soccer connection. I've heard that he is invested in the soccer, but no, I don't think that there is currently a Michael Sheen-ish equivalency for the U.S. men's national team. But they might go to The Rock or something like that. You might need The Rock to cut a promo. That's where they are.
Can they just hire like Mel Gibson and he just comes out like Braveheart?
And like the full paint and the spear and everything. You've got that. Cardi B has been mentioned in the Twitch pitch this morning.
That'll get them excited. Well, never mind. I wrong usage of a term. Ready to play a soccer game?
Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? You ready to play? All right, we got you for another couple of minutes. It's we're getting back to Major League Soccer this weekend, and the races continue for the final playoff spots. And when you look at matches this weekend, obviously there are teams in the East that have to do the must wins. Seattle kind of did folks in the East a favor with a draw last night after losing early 1-0 to FC Cincinnati. Atlanta's got to win. Atlanta and the Revs is a mutual elimination game. Toronto can be a spoiler for everybody and help everybody else out with their match at home against Inter Miami for Friday Night Football. You're looking at Crew and Red Bulls. You're looking at Cincinnati and the Fire. Can San Jose be a spoiler with Minnesota? LAG and RSL, which is an interesting one. NYC Orlando City. Portland LAFC. That one's a big one on Sunday afternoon. And then Sporting in Seattle, Nashville, Houston. What are you looking at this weekend? What's in the Dylan Butler spot shadow after high school football?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think when you look at Saturday night, I think LA Salt Lake is a massive, massive one, right? The Galaxy were below the line and struggling, and it's remarkable kind of what 6 points one does for a team, right? Especially when they have that game in hand. Yeah. And that was that Cali Classico on Saturday, which, again, doesn't fail to disappoint, where, San Jose brings out the great Tifo with the clown, and Chicharito responds in kind. I asked him the question. I was the one who asked him the question in the post game, and he talked about how great a response that was for him individually, but also obviously collectively for LA. And now they're kind of, they were almost left for dead below the line, and suddenly they're like, they're right knocking on the door of a home playoff game, right? And they take on a Salt Lake team that obviously desperately needs to win too. So I feel like that's going to have a lot of intensity to it, and a lot, that's that definition of a 6-pointer in the West. I think NYCFC Orlando, could shape up for that home game as well, right? Could NYCFC keep that on lock? Does Orlando come and take it? And then I think Portland LAFC is the other one that is really intriguing to me. Because again of the obvious, where LAFC, they're still fighting for the Shield, and Portland, and trying to continue to do Portland stuff with a late season surge, and surely a run to MLS Cup again, right? That's what the Timbers seem to do. Yes. So
never mess with Gio Savarese during a playoff race.
No, especially when his famous saying. We quoted Michael Scott before, but his favorite saying is every game is a final. So I think I wrote that probably 35 times when he was the head coach of the Cosmos, but I digress. And look, you've got to, obviously, until they're dead, the Sounders are such an interesting story, right? So obviously the draw at home did them really no favors. They need 6 points and they need help.
Yep.
But they're not dead. And I think until the Sounders are dead, right? Like, they can come back and haunt the rest of the West. So I think that's an intriguing one too.
And amazing what happens when Ricky Puig comes to town and helps you out. And his name is not Douglas Costa or Cabral. It's
Brugman as well. Chicharito's in form, right? Like, I've said it before. Like, you've got to. It's a fine line on hitting the playoffs hot, like for too long of an extended period of time or too short a period of time. And maybe it seems it's like maybe a 4-game run up or so, right, for LA, or 5 games. It might be perfect for them. So
yep, 2 more names have been suggested to give the speech.
All right.
Alex Morgan. And
can she play as well? I mean, she could score a goal. So
yeah, and then the Bill Pullman as the president character from Independence Day.
Yeah, it's yeah. Or you just give it to like Alexi Lalas, right? Like
today will be no. He would just play guitar. he would do an acoustic pep talk. It would not be something that I think that would be
fire guys up. No.
Yeah. Today will be our Independence Day. In Qatar. Over Thanksgiving. You give that speech just before the England match on Black Friday. You do that one with the today will be our Independence Day. Give that one. What is your high school game this weekend? What's your preview?
I got 3 games. I got a soccer match on Friday night. Which is fun. Obviously, it kind of brings everything in together, right? So
yes,
a little neighborhood rivalry, Cold Spring Harbor and Syosset High School Saturday afternoon. I've got Northport Lindenhurst football, and then Sunday afternoon I've got in the Catholic League here, I've got Chaminade and Cardinal Hayes football as well. So got all but one call done already.
That's always good.
And got one chart at least done. So we will continue to be doing that for the coming days.
Okay, and
then for OSDB Sports.com.
There you go. That's where I was going, brother.
I think I'm going to do a little, what to watch on decision day, right? Because the matches are all same time kind of thing, right? So a little viewer's guide to decision day on what you should be looking out for on the final day of the regular season.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is, and it's going to be the same thing written over and over and over again, like Bart Simpson on the chalkboard. Have all of your devices fully charged and airing different games at the same time, right?
Right. Or it depends on what your flavor is, right? Are you watching for the Shield? Are you watching for a team to make the playoffs? Are you watching for the Golden Boot race? There's a lot of things to look out for. So I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a viewer's guide for that.
What he said. As always, Dylan, once again from MLSsoccer.com and OSDB Sports. It's great to catch up with you on a bunch of different fronts about USMNT, about high school football, because all of our games got slid up at least one day, if not 2, because of Hurricane Ian. It's been fun putting our boards together and trying to get things squared away for our broadcasts, which have shifted a full day. And let's see. So what else did we talk? How are you about the dentist's office?
In terms of?
Like, dislike, don't want it, don't, that
I don't know who likes. Is there a like?
I don't know. I had to go yesterday and I was in the chair for 90 minutes.
That seems like a long time.
Teeth cleaning.
What was more painful, that or watching the U.S. national team?
It was a simultaneous act, actually.
That's horrible then.
Yeah. So it was not good.
I'm not, I don't like it. I don't dislike it. It's just, it's a necessary evil, I guess.
That's exactly where.
It's like kale, I guess. You have to sort of eat kale.
No, you don't. No, you don't got to sort of eat kale. You don't got to do nothing when it comes to kale. Because someone tried to slip that into a smoothie for me once, and I had the smoothie, and then they told me it had kale in it, and I was like, "You've poisoned me." This is not happening ever again, because this person was an expert smoothie maker and literally slid the kale into it. And it was just like, it didn't taste, it tasted fairly normal. It had bananas and strawberries in it and had kale in it. And then, it's like, it had kale in it. And I'm like, you've poisoned me. And,
but you didn't think that at the time.
No, because once again, it takes an expert smoothie maker to hide the kale.
But that's the beauty that I'm having. Like, you had kale without tasting kale.
Yeah.
You should be thankful for that.
No, I am not going to be thankful for having anything involving kale. And so when we come back next week, you can continue to regale me on your kale adventures. And
I don't love kale adventures, but
see?
If I have to have kale, I would like to have it not taste like kale.
Well, then the bottom line is you just don't have to have kale. That's an easy solution. No kale. This is Kefsi. Kale is fine. You got to eat some vegetables.
See?
No, Kefsey, I can't do that. No.
That sounds like my wife.
No green. The only green that I have as a part of my diet is in this cup, sir. Mountain Dew. Dylan, hockey season's already started. Also, we got our preseason games the other night. It was Rangers in Boston too. Saw that one, and Jack Edwards in midseason form, waiting for fights to happen so he can yell at the top of his lungs. We'll have all this stuff to talk about next week with one more week to go in the regular season. Yeah. We're talking playoffs. Thanks as always, my friend. Be safe, and may everything stick to the tape. May all of your calls happen. May all of your calls be fantastic, and may all of your games be close.
Look at that. You're getting me pumped up now.
Rah! See you next week.
See ya.
Dylan Butler from our friends at MLSsoccer.com, OSDB Sports, and fellow caller of high school football athletics. We were kindred souls on multiple levels here. It's always good to catch up with him, even if he's trying to convince me to have kale. No, not happening. I know. Yeah. See, I can see Dylan in the green room, and I can see his responses. But we'll have Dylan back again next week. It's always great to catch up with Dylan with anything and everything having to do with high school sports and soccer as well, as he continues to drink from his Rangers mug. So now it is that particular point. We zoomed past it when Dylan came up to play with us from New York. Well, no, it's still going. Okay, so I got to hit pause. Okay, now it's time to read a promo, because it's that time of the show where we catch up with our friends from Eliminate. That's almost too loud. But for odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go: Lemonized Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. And yes, people will get into fake meat, fake things coming up just a little bit. Lemonized, deodorized in enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Created a customized solution that lemonizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Lemonize bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. Turnkey process makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment. We like that these days. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that we have under the sink or in the cupboard above us, because when you reach under the sink or in the cupboard above you, spray it in the air. Well, they call it a masking agent, because all you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Eliminized Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing easy one of two ways. That's why the cubic foot of parts per million. Come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions whatsoever, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go. It's our friends at Eliminized Service. Go to the website, eliminize.com, but do us a favor here at SDH, as I look for my pen. After the .com, add /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, that you are wishing that they can help you with your problem. So your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta. Eliminized Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. There's your promo. And all right, so the quote, the thought was brought in by the Soccer for Good OG this morning. If you're not a vegetable fan, there's always ways to disguise them. Case in point, impossible meat. If it's not meat, yes, it is impossible for me. I can't have the fake meat burgers. Can't have it. No, tastes like the wrapping paper that they put it in. It's like diet soda. Diet soda tastes like the canister that it's in. So difficult stuff there with all of that. So no, there will be no impossible meat in this household. Not at all. Yeah, not happening. No impossible meat ever, 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 ever. So once again, before we go, reminder, 7:30 tonight, the home season finale for Atlanta United 2. It'll be great to see the guys one more time up there. Jason Longshore and myself on the call on ESPN Plus with USL Championship. Indy 11 coming to town. Right now, the East is set when it comes to everything in USL Championship. Indy and Atlanta United 2 both below the playoff bar. So it will be interesting to see what Indy 11 brings to the table. They've won 3 of their last 5. They're at 35 points, 10 wins on the year. They had a rough start and then brought in some players to help them put the ball in the back of the net and also stop the opposition from doing it. So Indy 11 at 35 points right now, 10 wins on the year. They have 4 matches to go, including tonight. So Atlanta United 2. Right now, 5 wins on the year, chasing after win number 6, and they have 4 points in their last 3 matches. Remember last time out, they had the 2-2 draw in Boca Raton against the Miami FC, and then last time, you had the win against Tulsa. You had the showing Memphis 901 FC right now closing in on the top spot against Lou City in the Eastern Conference. And we caught up with Philip Goodrum after that match as he's chasing after Milanowski in the Golden Boot. So Memphis 901 FC is for real. Indy 11 tonight at the Fraction. Kickoff a little after 7:30. Would love to see you there for the home finale for Atlanta United 2. And if you can't be there once again, I did like the vegan burger from the food truck because they had a lot of stuff on top of it. So I guess that comes in the masking ropes, right? Was it Slutty Vegan? I think that's who that was. But I did. But once again, publicly, I'll disavow any knowledge of liking it. But once again, home finale for Atlanta United 2. Would love to see you guys there. Jason and I will be on the call from the S Suite at the Fraction one more time here in 2022. Once again, you got a lot of action going on to look at all day long, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Once again, Power Hour tomorrow. Because of high school commitments and things like that. Once again, game of the week got pushed to Thursday. So it'll be, for those of you that watch the high school football on GPB, it will be online, and we'll have both of our games online, and they will re-air in our normal time slot, although the programming will re-air on Friday night. But tomorrow will be a Power Hour, and it will be going through everything on your Thursday. Friday is normal 9:05 start because Jared is racing back from the Shenandoah Valley from the family vacation that he definitely deserved to catch his breath a little bit. So 9:05 start with the weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming. Our friends from Beyond Goals at 9:30. Darren Van Tassel from South Georgia Tormenta joining us at 10 to discuss the big event happening this weekend involving South Georgia Tormenta, the first match ever at Tormenta Stadium, as it continues to be a part of the footprint there in Statesboro, Georgia. So it'll be great to have DVT on with us on a Friday morning. Thursdays with Nico will happen Thursday afternoon as I make my way up to Mill Creek High School. So you'll see a very pretty background, probably someplace, or it might be someplace somewhat isolated. So we'll see. But I'll probably be on the road doing Thursdays with Nico at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So it's a very, very busy couple of weeks of everything that we have as we get ready for Atlanta United and New England coming up on the weekend. Must have, must win. Mutual elimination game for both of those teams once again as they chase after that final playoff spot in the East. Emilio Beyond Meat is greater than the Impossible Burger. Now, I will take your word for it. Once again, people, when they sit there and they're trying fancy and healthy things, I try to avoid them, but that's just me. Thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us today. We will do it again tomorrow with a Power Hour and get you ready for the weekend sprint with a lot of action in Major League Soccer, USL Championship, USL League One, as a couple of matches left in the regular season and get us straight into the playoffs. Thanks for hanging out with me. I won't lose my man card if I admit to liking vegetables. It's not 1950. On that note, definitely from the Soccer for Good OG. There will be no admitting of anything like that in public, ever, ever, ever when it comes to me and vegetables. Glad we got to talk on a Wall Pass Wednesday, everything having to do with soccer, the U.S. men's national team, Dylan with Major League Soccer, all of us with the dentist office and vegetables. That's what Wall Pass Wednesdays are for. And thanks for hanging out and being a part of the SDH family. Mucha platial, it's the end of the show, and that means that I get to do this.